Hello, sweetie, and welcome to Crusher Convo, where we're crushing the conversation one episode at a time. Dr. Riversong meets Dr. Beverly Crusher as we deep dive the similarities of sci-fi's favorite women. And to join me tonight is one stand-up guy who loves to boost the signal in the Trek community. We welcome Ed. Hi, Ed.
Hey, how's it going? Sorry, that thing
Oh,
wasn't
there we
working.
go. Luckily you had your screwdriver with you.
Yeah,
That's
gotta
always
always
good to
have it
have.
at hand.
Very handy, very handy. Now, Ed, before we jump in, I want to talk about my sponsor real fast, which is Cherry Tree Incorporated. If you use my code CrusherCombo6, you get 6% off your order on Borg computers, Borg, Kitty on Borg cubes, Cleon keyboards, the whole 9 yards, okay, or DS9 yards. Just head over to mycherrytree.com and follow them on the socials at Cherry Tree Incorporated. Want to do that real fast. Now, I got a couple of questions for you, Ed.
Sure.
All right. The first one's a Trek question, which is, what female character do you find inspiring?
Oh, Jadzia Dax.
I love it. I love it. I love Jadzia. So you can't go wrong. What's the reason behind Jadzia that you love so much?
I think mainly growing up, I always liked science, and from the first time that she appeared on DS9, she was science. To me, that was the she wasn't there to be the sex pot, as it were, or the whatever the case may be. Terry Farrell was playing a scientist, and growing up, that's the way I looked at her. So yeah, I mean, I always enjoyed her character, and by proxy, Esri and Isla and all the Daxes.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned Isla. We can't forget her.
No.
So my next question though is the second part of what we're doing today is about Doctor Who. I got my Crusher hat on, but I got my River Song wearing a bow tie with got some TARDIS back there. I got my TARDIS here. Love to cross the streams. And so why do you love Doctor Who? What is it about Doctor Who that you love so much? Because the moment I had mentioned Doctor Who, and this was months ago, you're like, me, can I join that one? And I'm like, absolutely.
Man, I was pretty late to Doctor Who. I didn't discover Doctor Who until about 2008, late 2008. By that time, the revival show had already started in 2005. So David Tennant was the Doctor. Got to have the 10th Doctor, or the ninth Doctor. Sorry, 10th Doctor. Jesus. Oh wow. Anyways, and there's so many.
We got Chris, we got David, we got Matt. I know it's a lot to keep up.
Yeah, but and no, I started watching, and it was back when Netflix was still, you send the discs in the mail, and so
Right.
like pre streaming. So I was like getting the discs in the mail, enjoying the episodes, and could not wait for more. And it just hooked me. I loved the science. I loved anybody that was able to solve a problem without a gun or his fists. He used his mind and his two hearts, and I love that.
I was also late to the party. I don't think I started watching Doctor Who until 2012,
Oh, okay.
2013. So the 12th Doctor was already in play at that time. And the whole reason was because I fell in love with David Tennant when I saw him at Broadchurch. Broadchurch
I
is
love
such a
that show.
fabulous show. Yeah, love it. And Olivia Colman, all of it. It's a great series. And when I saw that he was the doctor, I was like, oh, I might actually give this show a chance if he was one of them. And got hooked. Like Blink, obviously, is a classic. I love the even Angels. But then even going into Matt Smith and having Amy and Rory and River Song, I was done for. Like that was it. I was like, that's it. I'm done. This is great. And so I had to kind of start backwards and, kind of get back into it. But like you said, there's so much to the story. It's such a tragic story too.
Yeah.
The doctor has a tragic story. All the characters end up having a tragic story. Donna, we're not even going to talk about Bill Potts at the moment. There's just so much that happens that you're just kind of like, oh my gosh. And the doctor keeps persevering, right? He just keeps going and doing his job and doing his thing. Which then when I get into Star Trek 10 years later, you kind of see the same thing with a lot of these characters as well. So there's always just this parallel. But obviously, I fell in love with River Song, and she's not really a doctor, but she's not really a companion. She's the wife, but that's later.
Well, it depends on where you
But
look at it in the book.
I know, right? Right?
Spoilers.
What part of the diary are we reading today? So as we jump into this, I wanted to do this little parallel of my favorite characters, which of course is Beverly and River Song, and just all that they went through, and how Star Trek and Doctor Who meet. To the fact that we saw the TARDIS on the Enterprise in a Strange New Worlds, episode, or the 15th Doctor saying we need to visit those guys one day. So clearly there is a way to do it. I still think, Wesley is a doctor. He's a traveler. Same thing. Time Lord, whole 9 yards. But let's start with this with a clip. One of my favorite scenes with River Song and the Doctor.
Hello.
Hello.
But, but that means...
I'm afraid it does.
Ooh. But you and I, we
Yes.
Ooh. How do I look?
Amazing.
Okay, so spoilers, everyone. A big secret was revealed in this moment, and I loved that scene because there was something about River that was so soft with the doctor because he was so excited and confused, but then happy and having all these mixed emotions, and she just was, I think, just relieved for him to know her secret, which was that she was Amy Rory's daughter. And yes, they kissed, and yes, they got married, and Amy became his mother-in-law, and it's a whole funny story all between that. But when I compare the two here, as you see, Beverly Crusher and River Song, sorry, I picked really sad pictures, but I felt like it worked well in this moment. Of course, Beverly is the chief medical officer and a scientist. She lost both her parents as a child. On and off romance with the captain slash admiral often keeps her feelings hidden beneath professionalism, and was the mother of a son whose destiny was greater than her own. As River Song, she's an archaeologist and a scientist, was taken from her parents as a baby, sort of grew up with them. Again, timey-wimey stuff. On and sort of off romance with the doctor, just because their timelines did not meet. And then hides enormous emotional depth behind flirtation and confidence, and was born with a destiny that she could not control. And I think those are kind of the big things. Like, these women went through a lot when it came to, like, River had no choice, and Beverly in a lot of way had no choice, particularly when it came to Wesley. But they handled it. They're badass in their own right. And I think that's why I enjoyed them so much. When I kind of turn over to River for a second, what is it about River that you admire or that you enjoyed during her storyline between when we first met her, which was her death, versus the last bit that she had with the 12th Doctor when they were on Beryllium?
Man, that's a loaded question. I loved every moment. I think what I really loved was the storytelling. I like that one character's arc could stretch from one era to even 2 eras later. It didn't matter which doctor it was. The last 24 years that the doctor spent with her for that final night is probably one of the most heartbreaking moments. I mean, there's literally a pile of Doctor Who heartbreaking moments, but that was one that stuck with me a long time. And it's probably the first thing that came to my mind when I thought of her, other than the library. So,
Absolutely. And Kathleen, hello, Kathleen. She is a part of a podcast, which your guys' new name always escapes me. It used to be FSF Popcast, and now it's, I think, Pulp Culture Addicts. Haha, I remembered. She is part of that group. So thank you for joining us tonight. But she says, yes, that the timelines were backwards. His first time meeting her was her last time meeting him, which, if you mentioning beryllium, right, the 24 years,
yeah.
that affected the 12th Doctor, right? He wore a wedding ring. He kept the diary showed up. There was always these things where he kept her picture on his desk. Like, that was his time of mourning her and loving her and carrying her, memory alive. Now, shifting gears a little bit, when it comes to Beverly Crusher, do you sense that her story is tragic in a way? Or do you feel like Beverly really had it easy than most of the characters?
Oh, I would never say that she had it easy. I think a lot of her tragedy and her story, without knowing exactly, and I want to preface by saying the story wasn't quite fleshed out as to why she sent herself into exile to keep, her son away from everything. I think a lot of her tragedy was self-imposed in some ways, and she probably could have, maybe she could have asked for help, but it is what it is, unfortunately. She did what she thought was right, and ultimately that's all that matters. And whether it was tragedy that was bestowed upon her or tragedy that was, forced upon by herself, it is tragic regardless. And I feel for how the character existed, especially if you think about the time period that she spent on the run, away from family, away from friends, protecting Jack, sure, but how much time, how, what sacrifice is, the greatest? I don't know. I don't know when a sacrifice is truly worthwhile when you have no chance of ever reclaiming what you've lost. So that's just a thought.
N- No, that's a perfect example because, you know, Beverly made choices that was either going to help or hinder her, but
Yeah.
she made the choices that was right in her mind. So in this sense, in order to protect her son, she had to pretty much sacrifice her whole life, right? And I kind of feel like River did that in a way, even though this her path was already destined for her, she made the most out of it, trying to understand her parents and trying to help them through their journey because, Rory and Amy kind of went back and forth. And then even helping the doctor in a lot of ways. And so she didn't want to see her family destroyed. She didn't want to see her family fall apart because of whatever they were going through. And so, even though spoilers, she didn't want them to change the timeline in a way, she still kind of helped nudge them, right, in a
Yeah. Oh
certain
yeah.
direction to help them. Now, of course, the last time she sees her parents were with the Weeping Angels. And as much as the doctor was freaking out and saying, like, no, 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 we'll fix this because he didn't want Amy to die, River was the one that just kissed her mom's hand and was like, letting her go. Her parents are going to be together, even though she's never going to see them again. And even the doctor says that later, like, those were your parents, and I'm so sorry. And she just kind of
Yeah.
held it in. But she had the mindset of knowing that her parents were together and safe. You know, not having to deal with all this, are they going to live or die, and deal with because being with the doctor is dangerous. As much as it's an adventure, it's very dangerous. Every single companion has suffered in some way, shape, or form. Kind of the same with the Enterprise, right? Now they know that. They signed up for it. They know that something could happen, and how many times have they almost died if it wasn't for Spock or Data or even Beverly or even Wesley, Jadzia, whoever was, helping them out. There was always a risk to that. Now, one of the things that I had written here about the similarities between River and Beverly is both regularly face alien threats, temporal weirdness, diplomacy crisis, and combat situations without losing composure. Can you think of a specific time between River or Beverly that they were able to handle a very complex, tough situation and be, in control, composure wise?
I'll jump with River. I think one of my all-time favorite episodes is The Impossible Astronaut. River was dealing with a lot of different things. We had a doctor that was obviously older. It was a doctor that knew what was going to happen. Another doctor that didn't know what was going to happen. I think River showed the best there. I mean, she was the one in the suit. There was a lot of I think if I don't even know. Maybe even man, they got me thinking because I'm jumping. That was the first thought I had, but I gotta go with there's so many different other aspects. Like how many times was she lost and they would have to find her somewhere in time? And
Mm-hmm. Or
man,
even with the silence.
You got me a good question. It was a good one.
I do my best.
It makes me want to go back, and it makes me want to rewatch them. And this is that's
dissect
great.
it a little bit.
Yeah, I'm all for that.
But even like the silence, right? Yeah. That was a very complex, and that's also a very great alien and villain for them because they would forget within seconds, and having to do the marks and try to understand that. So even for River, who is going backwards versus the doctor and her parents, is not sure what to do. Oh my gosh, I love it. Oh my gosh. Is that a Funko?
Yeah.
So I love it. I love it. I wish I had it. I would steal it.
The unfortunate part is you're going to forget about this in about 3 seconds.
That's very true. What were we talking about, Ed? I'm sorry.
I don't know. I forgot.
You don't know. Okay. You threw me off. Actually, I was going to say, we got a silence Funko, but we still don't have a Beverly Crusher. Please follow Justice for Crusher over on Instagram. Again, it's those, yes, exactly. It's those moments where you're like, what is going on? And that's what I loved about it. I had a talk, as you guys saw a couple seasons ago, I had my front office manager join me who had never seen Star Trek ever. So this was a fun conversation. She has moved on to better places, which means she got promoted. And we have a new front office manager. She got promoted, okay? But we have a new front office manager who we have a lot in common. She loves Doctor Who. She watched Star Trek as a kid. Like there's just, Star Wars. We could talk all day. But today we were actually talking about our favorite companions and things, and we both love the 10th Doctor. I'm a huge David Tennant fan. But there was something about the 11th Doctor with Amy, Rory, and River, that just group of people was amazing combo. They just had amazing chemistry with each other. Now, River had chemistry with anyone that she was on screen with. Like, that's just Alex Kingston. But just those four had a really great group, and I feel like their stories worked well as well, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, continuing with that, though, both characters between Beverly and River, both characters project competence, emotional intelligence, wit, and authority. We've seen Beverly play it, right? Just recently, I was doing a thing about why I do not like Vash, and when she met Vash, that was She played it, right? She was all like, oh, who's this? I'm going to sit down in the captain's chair and drink his tea, okay, while she's trying to figure out who this woman is. Same with River, where she is always doing those little wink, wink, nudge, nudge situations, and it's hilarious, but it's so good. Will Wheaton had just posted about like a favorite of his, a scene or something like that, and it was something about where the 11th Doctor was saying to River, you have that look on your face. And she's like, well, this is my normal face. And he went, exactly. And she's like, oh, shut up. Cause he was talking about, you're giving me that look like, he's handsome and charming and stuff. And that's just little banter and stuff that I adored. Is there a moment though that you thought was funny with the characters? Like even Beverly, anything funny that she did, or River, or, any of the two?
Man, when it comes, I'll touch on Beverly, because a lot of Beverly moments for me, I know people don't like Insurrection, but I thought that I always like the part. I know people don't like it, but I like the part where she and Deanna were talking about the changes from being down on the planet, and Data heard them. I know it's aged poorly, but I thought it was hilarious.
Right.
I liked Insurrection. I liked when in the episode Remember Me. I think Remember Me has some really good humorous moments. She was going through a really rough time. People were disappearing, and it's like here she is all by herself, but yet, questioning herself and stuff. I think it led to some great moments. To me, it's like a play, and the best way to have your real self of any character come out is to be alone. Think of it like, have you ever been in your car and you're talking to yourself and you're trying to run through, like, did I forget about this? No, I didn't forget about that. It's like, it was like that kind of moment, and it was real. And I think that was one of the things I really liked about Beverly. And as for River, I mean, River, humorous. Most of her things are written to be humorous in some nature somewhere along the lines, but yet as for something that truly stands out, no, because it was, for me, it was always part of her character, her DNA. And it was more, I think it would stand out more if she would have been deadly serious.
That's true. Yeah. Kathleen, she wrote, I think I have silence living in my house, or maybe it's the ADHD. And she said, you sent your front office manager to a farm upstate. Luckily, she's only 2 blocks over, so I can still see her. Now, Kathleen also does say, oh, when River says that the TARDIS taught her to fly and that she doesn't like the doctor keeping the brake on. Again, those little moments of, even when he boops her little nose, and or her making comments, it's just, it lightens it up, right? Especially in a very serious situation. She kind of does a lively moment. This came to my mind as we're talking about this. When they thought the doctor had died, because that River didn't know that was River in the astronaut suit shooting the doctor. Again, guys, spoilers if you haven't seen it. I'm sorry if this is confusing. It's a very timey-wimey show. Okay, that's what's going to happen. And then all of a sudden he comes out of the bathroom to go get his special straw because it gives it more fizz. And, they're all in shock. And River's in shock. She has no idea what the heck's going on. And what she does, she slaps him. She's just like, I don't know what's going on, but I hate you right now. And he's like, I probably deserve that. I just don't know why, And it's those moments where you're just gotta watch more,
Yeah.
And that's what just makes these series, these moments, even like you were saying with Beverly and Remember Me, those moments are great. When she's going one-on-one with the computer, hilarious. She was just like, yeah, whatever. Like she's just like not even gonna listen to the computer anymore. It just is, because they have to be by themselves and they have to work off whatever they can, and it's gold. Like, it's absolutely perfect in those moments. Now, of course, River's song is famously nonlinear, while Crusher's arc also involves long absences, changing status, and revelations about family and history, as we saw in Picard. We mentioned about her having to leave, and maybe she could have asked for help but didn't feel like she could. Like, there's just those back and forths, and maybe she did those what ifs, pros and cons, and maybe she just kind of panicked. There's a moment where you're like, I don't know what to do. I just have to protect my son. But they do question, tease, confront, and emotionally unsettle Picard and the Doctor in ways other characters usually could not. So even though they were technically the love interests, okay, more so for River and the Doctor than Beverly and Picard, but there was a one-on-one where the Doctor listened to River more so than anyone else that he was around. And the same with Picard and Beverly. Pretty much because they were friends for so long. Do you find that interesting that even though they were the love interests, and I'm doing quotes here, guys,
Okay.
even though they were the love interests, did you find it interesting that these women were able to kind of put the Doctor and the Captain in their place in certain ways that no one else could? Or were you just not shocked by it just because of the way that their characters were and how they were written to play those roles?
I think I was more surprised by the 12th Doctor and his interactions with River. To me, you know, 10th Doctor didn't really get a chance to know her very well. It was, hi, I'm meeting you. She's meeting him. It was her last time seeing him, his first time seeing her. So there, to me, that's an outlier. And then her interactions with 11, I think, are the basis for everything we want to know for their relationship. But as for 12 is like, to me, it's almost like dating somebody new. It was, yeah, it's like, hey, I met this guy. He reminds me of my ex, but something a little different about him, and a lot of it is the actors. I love the fact that with the exception of River being Melanie, okay, with the exception of that, it was always the same actress playing River, and I love that. There was that continuity, and it made it a little more interesting, and the dynamic that we had between them. And I don't even know where I was going with a thought, and so or what the original question was, but that's my thoughts.
The silence has struck again.
These numbers.
Oh my gosh, it's growing. Well, I was talking about, the duo of it all, that, Picard and the Doctor listened and kind of were like, they let them, how do I put this? There was just let's just say for Beverly and Picard, there was certain things that Beverly could say to Picard that no one else could. Because they were that close. Same with the Doctor and River, even though their timelines were crossing over backwards from each other, there was a trust there. And even though the 10th Doctor, like you're saying, it was his first time meeting her, he trusted her right away. Now, granted, she said she said his name, and that was like, okay, I must really trust this woman if she knows my name. But throughout her whole story, there's just always this, because he's still learning about her and trying to understand who exactly is she to me, but he always has that trust. And the same with Beverly and Picard. And even if River and Beverly have to put the Doctor and the Captain in their place, they can. Yeah. And it's a little different versus any of the other characters that we've seen. Kathleen also says River has the connection she has with the TARDIS because of Amy Rory made her in the TARDIS. Exactly. And I think that's also part of the reason that maybe why the Doctor felt a connection, because he's also too tied to the TARDIS. Yeah. So my episode that I love is Good Man Goes to War, hence why I did the clip. It's just, that's a turn for the Doctor, because he cares so much for Amy and Rory and their baby. This is before he even knew that River was the baby. But you saw a side of him where it was like, you know, good men don't need no rules. You'll understand why I need so many. Like there's just that line is scary. Like you're like, oh, like okay, don't push him. Say with Beverly, really, when it comes to her kids, or even Picard when it comes to his crew, don't mess with them, because they care that much and they're a part of that. But it, I just love the dynamic between the two couples. Again, quotes here. One
Well, I
did
think
get married, the other one didn't, but it's fine.
it's safe to call Picard and Beverly a couple. I mean, yes, they had a child together. Yes, it was how it was. Um, but okay, couple in the traditional sense of them being, we're a couple, or the
Mm-hmm.
fact that she is a confidant. She is a confidant. Maybe that's a really good one because she is somebody that he trusts implicitly.
Right.
If she and think about and I think she trusts him the same way. Let's go back to first contact. Picard had made the decision to blow up the ship. Okay,
Right.
and so that's going to happen. And the one person that doesn't even question it whatsoever is Beverly. The captain has made up his mind, and and to me, knowing the character and how she is, assuming that we just assume that the character is who the character is, that shows a confidence in what his decision making is. She believes that he has the right decision. And if she didn't have faith in what he was going to do, I think any good writer would have had her speak up. And
Mm-hmm.
she would have been someone that could have made him see it a different way.
Right.
Eventually he does, but I think she has a power over him that he knows about. I think she knows it. Think about their connection. When they were connected on the one planet, and
And
they were
attached.
able to feel
Mm-hmm.
each other's. Yeah, exactly. It's hard to get past that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that's and this is me putting some sort of logical reality into fictional characters, but you know,
That's what we do. That's what we're here for. Actually, it's you mentioning about first contact. It kind of reminded me about symbiosis
yeah,
because she was dead against what he was planning on doing. Where she's like, "No, we could help these people." He's like, "Nope, prime directive," and she's like, "Well, I disagree 100%. I'm gonna have to do this because you're the captain. You're making this, but I don't have to like it." Same
yeah,
thing with Iborg when it came to Hugh. I'm here. I don't have to like it. She lets her opinion known to the point that even in Ibor, because she kept letting her opinion be known, it changed Jordy's mind. It got him to understand. It got to Guinan. It got to Picard. Again, I think Beverly is the biggest reason why Hugh even survived
yeah,
that. So it's those connections are very similar in a lot of ways, and that's what I love about these two women who go through like stacked against the odds here and yet persevere in some shape or form, right?
right.
So absolutely love it. Now, bonus discussion here, not necessarily about River or Beverly, but just wanting to know more about what our favorites when it comes to the, Hugh verse and Star Trek. So I'm going to ask you right now, what is your favorite doctor versus your favorite captain?
Okay. Well, my favorite doctor is Matt Smith's 11th Doctor.
I couldn't tell with the bow tie.
Bow ties are cool.
Yep,
Yeah, but yeah, a lot of it came down to a couple of different aspects for him. Yes, I started watching when David Tennant's 10th Doctor was around. But Matt Smith had a sense of energy and youthfulness that I connected to at the time. I was in my 20s. I am so old. But anyways, I had a chance. Like I was in Utah when they were filming scenes for The Impossible Astronaut. I
that's
was there.
right.
I was
Yeah,
very, very close. I was able binoculars and everything, but there are aspects of that episode that tie into my real world. There There's characters that are discussed. I live in the hometown of characters that are discussed in that episode. That the 11th Doctor chose a vehicle. Like, you don't see the Doctor in any iteration usually drive vehicles, but he was driving an Edsel. My real name is Edsel. I really love that. And so I always like, well, that's my doctor. That's my doctor. I have the Sonic, it's like, but favorite captain, Cisco. Anybody that knows me, I'm a Cisco guy. For reasons that we could do an entire hour on. But yeah, I'm a Cisco guy.
I mean, just Avery Brooks alone is
He
you can't go
commands
wrong.
he commands respect, attention, and I would follow that man. Even if even if he wasn't a captain, I'd be like, what do you want me to mow your grass? Okay. You know.
You're like, sure. The one thing that I do love before I pick my two answers, and I kind of already talked about it earlier, but is how Will Wheaton did portray Wesley in Prodigy as like the 11th Doctor. I mean, I got so much Doctor Who vibes when he was there. He was all over the place. His mind's going this way and that way because he's not in the same plane as us. He's literally on multiple planes all at once trying to figure things out, which is kind of like how the Doctor is. But I loved that. It was just such a great crossover between the two and just showing that Wesley is a Time Lord, And I'm all like, oh my gosh, Beverly gave birth to a Time Lord. No, but I mean, it's just, it's just these moments where he had a destiny that she could not understand, but she just let him do it. And even though that broke her heart, because she obviously never saw him again, except for like 2 times, but it was those moments that she cherished forever. Now, obviously, I got into Doctor Who because of the 10th Doctor, and so he is my doctor. Like David Tennant, 10th Doctor, that's who I love. Love him with Donna. Those two were just amazing. But, when it comes to just overall story, I think the 11th has better stories overall. But David's my guy. I always have to say he is the whole reason why I got into Doctor Who. But for my favorite captain, I mean, I will say Beverly Crusher because she was a captain. But if I'm going to go off of the shows, I have to say, and it's a toss up because I love Janeway, but I would have to say Picard. And I don't know if it's because that also got me into the franchise, right? So 10th Doctor got me into Who, TNG got me into Star Trek. And so I think I hold those close to me because of my own journey when it comes to the franchise. But there was just something about Picard that I felt that he also had this command and, philosophy of how he approached people and new species and trying to be that middle ground when it comes to whatever they were going through. And so it's sad to see him go through as much as he did when it came to the Borg and his own family and trying to deal with the tragedy of his own life. But, he handled it well in certain cases. Obviously, I don't really agree with him how he handled his relationship with Beverly, but that's a whole other can of worms. But I think as a captain, he gained a lot of respect. Guinan obviously had so much respect for him that she followed him wherever, she trusted him with her life. And even Riker, he never left the Enterprise, not just because of the Enterprise, but he respected Picard and he respected everyone on there that he didn't even take his own command, 3 times before he got the Titan? I think that kind of shows a lot, something like that, right? Like, I think that kind of shows a lot of his character. Now, when it comes to the relationships, so Picard and Beverly, or the Doctor and River, which story do you feel like, I don't want to say connected to, but that you enjoyed the most?
Man, me personally, I got to go River Doctor, simply just because it has every aspect you could want. It has love, it has drama, it has tragedy. They were from the very beginning. I mean, when we were introduced to River in the library, we never knew how it was going to begin. We knew how it
Right.
was going to end, but little did we know that it would even continue. And then it
Mm-hmm.
did. And then from the first time the word spoilers were uttered, we knew something was about to happen. And looking back on it, you can go back and rewatch it for the second, third time, and it's still, there's always going to be something you're going to catch. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
really, I don't know, I like that, and I gravitate towards it. Not that I
Yeah.
don't have respect for Picard and Crusher, but to me, their love affair, their romance, whatever else, is like two ships passing in the night. And it happens, but they may have a love for each other, but I don't believe that they have in love for one another.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a huge difference. Like, you know, I can love a friend and I can love a wife, but I'm never going to love the friend as I do the wife. And I don't think that they were ever going to be husband wife material.
Right.
Where, in my opinion, but
Right. I mean, it's hard for me to choose, obviously,
I
because
get
I
it.
love both of them. Um, but I think you're right. I think with River and the Doctor, they just had, it's a tragic love story, but it's a love story nonetheless.
Yeah.
Like there is at least something that comes out of it. They got to spend 24 years together just loving each other and not having to deal with aliens and trying to go from one place to another, different timelines, all that stuff. It was just them two. And I think there's a beauty to that. Clearly, it shaped the 12th Doctor in a way that he was heartbroken, knowing that's all he was going to have left of her
Yeah.
when she was going to be going off to her death, right? So it's one of those moments where it's such a beautiful thing. Or even with her, I would rather let the timelines be destroyed and everything because I can't kill you because I love you, which
Yeah.
is why he married her in that moment, right? There was just so much to them that was beautiful. Picard and Crusher are also tragic, but tragic in a sense of they made their stories tragic. They're very stubborn people, and they both made choices to a
I think,
fault.
and it didn't matter, if I may interject, and I want to
No,
go with
go for
this.
it.
It doesn't really matter what timeline we look at too. Let's look at the All Good Things timeline. In the All Good Things timeline, they're married and it still didn't work. You know, they
Right.
still wanted something different. They still chose different paths.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't matter which reality we were dealing with. It was going
Mm-hmm.
to happen. They were bound to be unhappy as a couple.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's a piece of solace we can take,
Right.
that, you know, she, in that universe, she became a captain. She was on the Pasteur. She seemed happy until he came back. And I was like,
She's like, great. Again, it doesn't seem, but even in, was it the comic books or even the books themselves, like other timelines where even with her and Jack, it was like either Jack died in one timeline or Beverly died in another timeline or they divorced because Wesley died or so.
yeah,
So it's always like a tragedy of some sort when it came to Beverly. And I think that's what's so sad. But she also doesn't really need a man to,
no,
fulfill her life. But as a role of a mother, that was her life, right? That was her biggest accomplishment. As much as being a doctor and a scientist, her children were everything to her. And I think that's also what, is a big inspiration for Beverly to a lot of fans when it comes to that. Now, Borg versus Cybermen. So, one is you will be assimilated, while the other one is you'll be upgraded. Who do you feel like is the worst villain?
Borg. Like, as in who I wouldn't want to run into? Borg. They're violent. Cybermen are they're equally unfeeling, but I think they're easily defeated without without a weapon. So I mean,
True. Yeah.
so yeah, that's how I have to go with that one. I'd be more
Yeah.
afraid of the Borg.
I think with the Borg is, it's just, it's either this way or the highway, right? And like you said, with the Cybermen, I don't want to call them brainless, but they're kind of just one dimensional. So yes, it's easy to fight them. It's easy to destroy them. While the Borg, you fight them, and then they are like, they all of a sudden are like, oh, I now know what phaser number you're using, and so now I'm going to be able to, so it's harder to defeat them.
They adapt.
They adapt to it, yes. And so that's, but I just thought it was funny how here we have these two very robotic, machines, and their tagline was pretty similar, where it was like, you'll be simulated or you will be upgraded. So that's why I had to ask. But I would go with the Borg as well for that same reason, because it's just not, it's tough to fight against the Cybermen, but it's even tougher with the Borg, especially because there's so many and so many quadrants.
That and the
insanity.
Cybermen will turn you into a Cyberman, but it takes a little while. The Borg, they're gonna, there you are.
You're done.
Yeah.
You're done. That's it. And then it's also more like look at Seven. She was a child, and how to her to try and come back and adapt from that, it was more rough than anyone else, that had gone through with the Cybermen. Now, I didn't get any penny for your thoughts, but I will be doing a sick bay spinner. So my next episode is going to be in a couple of weeks, and I'm going to be with Abby from First Flight Podcast. So right now we are going to find out what my next episode is going to be. I'm very excited. Children of Time from DS9. I think, I'm hoping to see you in the chat. Now, this episode will be pre-recorded, so if you do want to leave a penny for your thoughts, please send them my way, because, it's going to be a fun conversation. Only time I will do pre-records is when our timelines don't exactly. Oh, there he goes. He's already starting. So hit me up there. But I'm absolutely super excited about that. And before I really get into my redhead alert, I do want to mention, and this is actually a redhead alert, but let me grab something real fast.
Hey, everybody. I'll keep you entertained while she steps away for a moment. And I'll say, if you haven't watched Doctor Who, check it out. And start with Blink.
Absolutely. No joke. We're not even good. Yeah, that's fact. So redhead alert. We'll go ahead and do that. I mean, I love it. I have a weeping angel actually up there. I should have brought her down. Gosh dang it. I was prepared, but unprepared, whatever. Now, as you guys know, I've been having my giveaway. Okay. Need to get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube and 1,000 followers on Instagram. Because again, really want to go back to lives on Instagram. I'm actually doing pretty good. I just passed 600, so yay. On Instagram, about 466 here on YouTube. But I really want to highlight this. Here it is. Gates McFadden autograph. So once I get to 1,000 subscribers and 1,000 followers, I will be able to give away this very unique autograph of a picture that I took, and that Gates signed. So I wanted to mention that. I always say it every episode, anytime, but I really wanted to bring out the item, okay? And just keep sharing my stuff, guys. I really enjoy, having fun with you guys on Instagram and here on YouTube, posting even my shorts. A couple of my videos were shot up in the thousands with views because it was funny and hilarious and oh so true. But I, want to be able to give this away. So if you guys can help me out, that would be great. Ed here, he boosts the signal as much as he can, and I really appreciate that. And so, yeah, if you guys know any other Crusher fans or even just Star Trek, send them my way. I would greatly appreciate it. And thank you, Will Wheaton, for sharing one of my favorite memes, because that actually shot me up on Threads. So if I could only get more on Instagram, that would be amazing. But let's continue with my redhead alert. So, like I said, guys, if you love to hear your thoughts here on the air, please submit a penny by recording a 60 to 90-second clip over at crusherconvo.com. Or you can email me your thoughts to crusherconvo@gmail.com, and I will announce your penny live on the air. So anytime that you guys have any thoughts of an upcoming episode or even a question to someone I'm going to be interviewing, do not hesitate. Send it my way. I love to hear from you guys, especially when I'm doing a pre-recording and we can't really hang out in the chat. I would love to hear your thoughts about an upcoming episode. And of course, my Patreon shoutouts go to Leslie, Dave, Grayson, and Elisa, who are my Commander patrons, and Chuck, Engineer Mark, and Johannes Board, who are my Admiral patrons. If you would like to support the podcast and enjoy exclusive extra content, just head over to patreon.com/Crusher Convo, and you can sign up for as low as $3 a month. And I do also want to say real fast that on Sunday, I will be doing a live react and review of me watching Star Trek Into Darkness for the very first time with my Admiral patrons in the chat, and we get to discuss it. So I'm super excited about that. That's going to happen at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Sunday for my Admiral patrons. So if you want to join in, just sign up, and then, that would be great. But yeah, I'm super excited about that because I'm almost done with the movies. I think those are the only two I have left now that I think about it. So I'm excited about that. But you know what, Ed? Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Please let my listeners know where they can find you.
Oh, well, thanks for having me. I can be found on Instagram. You can find me at MyFigureUniverse or at Boosting the Signal, both on Instagram. My Figure Universe is on Threads as well as on Blue Sky. And here on YouTube, if you're on YouTube right now, My Figure Universe, it's the entire channel. It's where the Boosting the Signal podcast is on. I have shorts. I have unwrappings of cards, unboxing of figures, weird stuff, and some upcoming stuff that's kind of fun that's going to come out on the 3rd. It's a little bit different, especially if you like Stargate. But yeah, I love it. And I could use more followers too. If I hit 1,000 on both of those, I got something really cool I'll give away too. It's just not signed by Gates McFadden. So, but definitely do me a favor. If you're watching this right now and you're watching this because I'm on here, I want you to click like on this video and I want you to follow this. Follow Crusher Combo here. Follow Crusher Combo on Instagram. Let's get her signal boosted because that's the entire point of this.
And you are the best at boosting the signal. If I could speak for everyone who has not only been on your show, but where you have shared so much content for everyone. It has been so much appreciated. I know, like Larry Nemechek and even the letter decks and Transporter, like everybody, we greatly appreciate your hard work of just boosting our signal and helping us out. And I mean, obviously, like, it's just absolutely amazing. And you even send in a penny here and there. And it's so much fun to hear your thoughts and to be able to have it on the show. So thank you so much, Ed. I really appreciate it. But as we end tonight, it's going to be a little different. I did a Beverly and River song video probably last year, and I wanted to share it with you guys. So I'm going to share that video right now, and then it will go into my end credits. So thank you so much for everyone who joined, Kathleen in the chat, and anyone who is going to be joining later on. But as always, if I could find the video, because I always have that problem. There it is. If I could find the video, live long and prosper.
Penny near. Penny for your thoughts. Penny drops. without knowing you are loved by so many, so much, and by no one more than me.
Or perhaps we should be afraid. A perfect day on borrowed time.
You and me, time and space. You watch us run. He came out of cool just like he always does.
There's nothing wrong with me. Maybe there's something wrong with the universe. Everything about something she will take. So let's do what we spent our entire lives wanting to be greater.
This is all one stepping for me.
We have to dream in order to survive.
Sweet.
Don't forget you can listen to all the audio versions of Crusher Combo on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. You can support the podcast by buying merch on TeePublic, buy me a coffee by scanning that QR code, or becoming a Patreon member for as low as $3 a month. But the best way to support Crusher Combo is to like and subscribe here on YouTube. You can also find me on Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, or TikTok, so please follow me there. And of course, all this information can be found on crushercombo.com.
Crusher out.